one of the former players who is part of this CTE lawsuit. Leonard Marshall played 12 seasons in the NFL. It's great to see you again, Leonard. Thanks for the time. I'm just curious, first of all, you've been arguably the biggest voice to take this case on. What does it mean for you to have to wait now and wait for this delay? But it appears this is going to come out in your favor.
Well, it appears that way. I mean, we've been dealing with this now for over 10 years, and we've been trying to get to a point of vindication for 10 years. And what I'm not understanding is for the judge to want to seal the record and not share this data after, saying, hey, look, we've been transparent the entire time. We will continue to be transparent. We want to be transparent with these players. And even though they've been wronged, and we've admitted that they've been wronged, now all of a sudden we don't want to be transparent again. I mean, which one is it? Either you're pregnant or you're not. So the situation still exists. I'm quite sure there's a lot of families that are in dire need of some sort of clarity here, and I'm one of them. I mean, my test was scored and then rescored a couple of additional times. I mean, if you saw, the communication between myself and a couple other players on 60 Minutes, CBS had the test rescored twice. And all the players that were rescored twice, using the raw data, all of them passed the mustard test.
Right.
So why are we still doing this? Is it delay, deny, and hope we die? Which one is it?
Wow. Will you be okay, Leonard, in the end if this isn't released?
If it's not released, will I be okay? Of course. As long as this works out in the favor for me and my family, and some of these other players that are out there struggling in their families, because after all, that's what it's about right now. If I wanted to make this all about Leonard Marshall, I could be banging the tum-tum and saying it's all about me. It's not all about me. It's all about guys that don't have a voice. Guys that don't have a voice, don't have a platform. No one will listen to them. They played in a small NFL city, and they weren't a marquee player to grab the attention or spotlight to be able to discuss this. And I think it's sad, very sad, that for players and families that have to go through this, and then them now talk about not being transparent.
Leonard,
it's unfair.
I know, as I mentioned, you've been out front on this. Do you think it'll cost you in any way, maybe a bid for the Hall of Fame?
Well, I go back to that from time to time. I think it's cost me a bit. I think it's cost me something, with my parent team, the team that drafted me to play, the team where my heart is, the 53 guys or 52 guys I went to battle with in Super Bowl 21 and Super Bowl 25, and, all the accolades and everything else I earned as a New York Football Giant. I love the New York Giants. I love that organization. I love what myself and my teammates, the journey we went through, the struggles we went through, good, bad, and indifferent. But this is a situation that pertains to right and wrong. And right now, it's on the wrong side of history. It needs to be on the right side of history. And those that are in dire need, and there's many of them out there. Mm-hmm. A lot of them, they don't want to come forth because they feel like they'll be, crucified like I have.
You have been? What's the response been?
Well, just go to Big Blue Interactive, or go to any one of these New York Giant websites, and you'll see what the fans are talking about. Leonard Marshall put it all in as a player. I gave everything I could give to the New York Football Giants and my teammates, and love those guys to death. I mean, working with Harry Carson, Lawrence Taylor, Phil Simms, Mark Bavaro, Pepper Johnson, Gary Reasons, Carl Banks, and I can stand Mark Collins and just name Everson Walls and just name names of guys that I love so dearly. Even my friend Dave Durison, who was a former Chicago Bear, right, and who passed away because of CTE. He actually took his own life yeah, because he was on the wrong side of things. It's just very sad, guys.
Hey, Leonard, where's the union on this? Do you think, in your opinion, has the union done enough to help former players on this issue?
I think Mr. Smith has done a great job in staying out of the media, making this all about his players, that he represents and their families. I think Mr. Smith and his staff have done a fine job. I hate what has gone on of late with Mr. Gruden, and I don't know enough about it to really make an in-depth comment, but I will say it's just, part of a flawed system that, you have a situation where a guy like Bob Kraft goes into a sex shop, gets into all the stuff he gets into. You have players that go do the same thing. How come the players in the spotlight and the owners aren't? How come you have all the, how come it's double standards for players versus management and ownership? I don't get that. So there's a lot of this stuff that's going on right now between league and player that can be kind of, just, split hairs, guys. Let's call a spade, do the right thing, and be done with it.
All right. Leonard Marshall, it's great to see you. And, man, to hear all those names, that brings back some memories. Those were fun teams to watch, my friend. Take care. And, again, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the weekend.